And I hit go live. It should let me. There we go. All right. Hopefully this one ends up working out. I need to figure out the auto start functionality. I'll get there eventually. Welcome back to Tailosive Tech live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a celebration because it means that we are 1 month away from iPhone season once again. Maybe not exactly 30 days. We might get an invite a month from now, but that's part of the speculation I was hoping to do during this YouTube stream. And I want to figure out if we're expecting iPhones in the second month of September. Let me just check. September 2021. Yeah, I want to get this right. I want to see if we can make our bets. We can put our predictions in correctly. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I just know that my macOS calendar is going to be completely stuffed with random events and things, so I thought this would be easier. But 1 month from today would be, I guess, either September 4th or 5th. And if we're expecting second week of September, then I guess it's typically on a Tuesday. We're talking either September 7th or 14th. But either way, we're getting closer. We're reaching the final stretch. This countdown is finally coming to an end. The time when we won't have to forever worry about not having 120 hertz anymore. All of these fears of a portless iPhone can go away, and we find out that Lightning is still stuck around. Another generation. But it might be the first time also that we get actual always on display on the iPhone, and the first time Apple does something with the true depth camera system, aka the notch. So I'm obviously curious, all kinds of different naming schemes they could go with, why it's already discussing. Are we doing 12S or 13? I think for the sake of simplicity in channel video titles and thumbnails, it's actually easier to just say 13. Because if you put 12S, some people think you're just saying 12s, iPhone 12s, where instead of actual next generation. I don't want to say 2021 iPhone because that's more characters. Ooh, Wyatt says possibly on his birthday. When's that? They said the announcement will be the 14th of September? Wait, 14th? Oh, okay, yeah, that's a Tuesday. So within about a month, we should have an official date confirmation. Because this is an online keynote, I'm guessing that this will result in about a week notice. It's not going to be like typical years where they send out the invites 2 weeks or even 3 weeks sometimes before the keynote actually begins. I'm guessing this time it's probably going to be 7 days before. So maybe September 7th is when we get invites. Will I be pre-recording a video to drop particularly at that time? We'll find out soon enough. It'll depend on how quickly the video gets posted, and I think that'll answer itself. Mike says, nice hair. Thank you. Even success was that way. September 7th would be perfect for me. It's before school starts. Oh, yeah, Apple, if you want to catch all of the youngsters, if you want the online keynote to be viewed by all the kids going to school, you should do it earlier rather than later. Mike is predicting iPhone 14 since 13 is a scary number. You know, there's literally been smartphone naming systems in China that have avoided the number 4 because of how unlucky it is, or because it sounds like another word that's dangerous or something like that. What's your take on diagonal camera layout? Yeah, that's a good question because it's been floating around a lot lately. Probably the hands-on pictures have a good indicator. I just want to bring it up in case people aren't aware. But these are some dummy models. See, it's so much easier. I didn't have to buy them. I could just use Google. But the new camera layout on the 13 or the 12S, whatever they end up calling it, has these cameras in a opposite of each other, which is obviously fairly different from the 12 series and even the 11 series. A lot of people I saw hating on this. A lot of people were just instantly against it, saying it's changed for the sake of change. They're just doing it so that people know that it's the new one. It doesn't actually functionally add anything. And there's likely some truth to that criticism. I mean, it doesn't, I'm guessing it doesn't objectively allow for some type of feature that wasn't previously available. There's some Photoshop. I doubt that's a prototype. I'd be very shocked if that's a prototype. But if it comes out and this color option isn't there, you know this is fake. But the one thing I'm okay with it for, I'm actually in favor of this design, is it evenly lays out the microphone and the flash cameras, I think, better than the 12 and 12 mini, because this is obviously a regular one, and there's like this empty gap basically with this current configuration. You have the flash and the microphone really close together. You have the two cameras on top of each other, and then in the bottom corner of the camera module, you just have this emptiness. Now, I know functionally it works fine, but I just feel like having all of the sensors equal distant from each other looks more aesthetically pleasing to me. Just having the cameras equal distant and also the flash and mic, so it doesn't feel like there's just a big quadrant of the camera module that's doing absolutely nothing. I don't think it's that bad an idea. I don't plan on getting the 13 mini or even the regular 13 this year, but laying out the camera modules in that way, just so that people know that it's a different model, and also to make the sensors more equal from each other. I don't know if there's any manufacturing help with that, if that saves on cost with mass production in any way. I have no clue, but I'm just saying aesthetically it doesn't bug me. I'm fine with it. Wyatt super chatting on top of being a member. Hello from your local Tailosive simp. Wyatt, we talked about this live stream. You got to save some for your rent. Drift Boy said hello, welcome. Ahoda, sorry, I don't know how to say this, but you're a member, so I appreciate it. Ahoda says, what are your thoughts on the mini size iPhone? I've loved it. So I've had it since November of last year, and I'm really sad that the sales of it are not doing well, because I think there is a market for people who enjoy mini iPhones. So there's actually quite a bit of pressure on the 13 mini this year, because obviously Apple has seen, from the reports, I guess everything could end up being completely wrong, but from the reports we've heard, I believe that the 12 mini did not sell very well. But the disappointing thing about that is the majority of people I've talked to, pretty much everyone I've talked to who got the 12 mini, is really happy with it. They enjoy it. The size is comfortable. They enjoy Face ID. The camera's amazing. Battery life is the only slight downside to the mini, which I wouldn't even say is a deal breaker. It's just something you have to manage a little bit more than a typical smartphone. But all I care I was hoping Big Truck Series Review Motorsports would show up, and he did. Thank you. I was like, someone's got to bring up the 1 terabyte option for Big Truck Series, and he finally showed up. Thank you. We need that 1 terabyte option. But frankly, if part of the reason I think the 12 mini did not sell well is because the iPhone SE from last year already came out. So a bunch of people that were looking to upgrade and get a smaller iPhone, they all bought the iPhone SE. So by the time the 12 mini launched, they were like, oh, I already upgraded. Plus the 12 mini is a little pricey, and I think Apple's discovered that people don't like spending a ton of money on a smaller phone. If they get a smaller phone, they kind of want it to be cheaper. And the mini is the cheapest of the 12s, but I think that there's a chance for the 13 mini to redeem itself, because there's rumors of all of the battery lives increasing across the lineup this year physically, and of course the A15 chip should be more power efficient. So it's not just a matter of the CPUs being more efficient. It's also the physical size of the battery. Even the chassis is supposed to get slightly thicker to accommodate for these larger batteries. So if that ends up being the case, then maybe there's a chance of the mini iPhone this year with an improved battery life, plus, of course, improved camera, smaller notch, all those things. Maybe that could end up selling really well, and Apple could decide to keep the mini footprint around. But as far as we know right now, but keep in mind the leaks and rumors for iPhone generations that are a year in advance, although I guess that's not too far away. We're only 13 months away from the iPhone 14, believe it or not, because we're only 1 month away from the iPhone 13. So I guess we're getting closer, and basically the closer you get to launch, the more accurate the leaks get. And the leaks right now are essentially suggesting that the 2022 iPhone lineup is going to ditch the mini size, which breaks my heart because I enjoy the smaller phones. But instead, they're going to have 2 Max iPhones, which still confuses me a little bit. They're going to have a Pro Max, and then they're going to have a regular Max, which is going to have, I'm guessing, not the best cameras. Maybe it doesn't have 120 hertz or something like that, but it will have a big size. It will be big, 6.7 inches. So they'll have 2 sizes for the Pros, 6.1 and 6.1 inches and 6.7, and then the regular iPhones will have a 6.1 and 6.7. But the display is probably the most expensive component of the phone, which is why I'm confused by the idea of having 2 options, because I don't think by leaving out a telephoto lens and LiDAR, the naming and the lineup doesn't confuse me. I get the idea of just I totally get the idea of having a cheap big phone and expensive big phone. But the thing is that the price I don't think would be much lower. I could see the bigger, cheap iPhone still costing like $1,000, so you only save like $100 by going with the one without the telephoto lens or something like that. So yeah, that's the main thing about it that I'm confused by. But I'm really hoping that Apple keeps the mini iPhone around, at least even if it was just a mid-range thing. Like if they decided this year to keep the 12 mini around at a discounted price, like they sell it at $600 instead of $700, that would maybe give it some hope, or that type of thing. Let's see. Should I upgrade from an XS? Well, it depends on how the battery health is aging. When you say a really good point and Drew doesn't read it, I'm sorry, there's 300 people in the chat. I'll do my best. Members and super chats are easier to read. Driftboy says, hopefully there will be a 13 mini. Yeah, from what we know so far, there will be a 13 mini. They haven't scrapped it just yet. Ben Rayner says, my Bose Bluetooth headphones keep disconnecting from my iMac. Have you come across this? I have not, but I am not an Apple support agent, so I would recommend it. I would recommend checking with them. I hear you, Big Truck Series. Thank you for the thank you for the 1 terabyte suggestion. I want it just for you. I don't want it for myself, but if you want a 1 terabyte, I've seen how badly you've been asking for it. I hope Apple listens. What are the storage sizes you were hoping for with the 13? You know, I don't think. Did I just say XS? Yes, I intentionally said XS because we were having a discussion about the naming scheme since 2017 this morning, and I was complaining about how ever since 2017 the iPhone naming has been screwed up, primarily just because they decided to not have 7S and they went with 8, and then they called it 10 but spelt it X. So there were 2 ways to say the iPhone name, and then when they did 10S, everyone was calling it XS and XR. So I'm intentionally on the mindset of people reading it the way it's spelt. So that's why I'm like, ugh, come on, Apple. It ruined it, and I'm annoyed. Batman Harris says, what about the Pro Double Max Deluxe? That's a good name. Let's stick with Pro Double Max Deluxe. Let's see. Apple says it's too late to switch to a Type-C port, but what accessories that people are still using Lightning? Would assume by now people already use wireless things for the most part. I don't know if I would agree that most people are using wireless, but my point is people having Lightning accessories has not stopped Apple from switching standards. That's my biggest frustration. Like, Apple ditched the 30-pin connector because they were like, Lightning is better. And Apple is ditching Lightning on iPads and switching to USB-C. So I don't understand why, if they believe USB-C is better, they helped design USB-C. USB-C can do far more. I think USB-C is better overall. Like, you can have Type-C to Type-C, whereas you can't have Lightning to Lightning. You can transfer more data this way. You can transfer more power this way. It's more universal with third-party accessories. Just saying that, well, people have Lightning accessories, that's not a good reason to keep it. Apple has never acted that they ditched the SD card slot, they ditched USB-A, they ditched the DVD drive, they ditched the optical drive on so much of their hardware. They did all those things not because no one was using them. Everyone was using DVDs when they released the MacBook Air, and everyone was using USB-A still to this day, and they took it off the MacBooks. I don't think it's a good reason just to say, like, well, some people might use that. It's like, that's not a good reason to keep it around. Michael's saying, dear everyone, stop asking Drew for Apple support info if there's an app for that. I would love to help you. It's just a lot of the time people ask me stuff that I don't know the answer to, like that. Like, people are like, my Bose headphones don't connect to my iMac. And I'm like, I've never had that problem, so I don't know what to do other than recommend you check out Apple support. One feature that I've discovered YouTube live streams have is live stream polls. So I'm going to launch one now. I'm asking if people are upgrading this year because I'm genuinely curious. There's a lot of things I'm excited for personally as a tech enthusiast, but overall I could totally understand why average consumers are not interested in this year's iPhone. So that's why I'm launching the poll to ask which people are upgrading specifically to the iPhone 13. Don't say yes if you're not buying the iPhone's coming out next month, but I'll try to keep up here. Ray Day, thank you for the super chat, says, I regret going with a 64GB iPhone 12. Whenever I get my next iPhone, I might go with a 128 or 256 if Apple doesn't make 128 standard on the base models by then. Yeah, someone asked about the storage options earlier. I hope they update them. Obviously, I want 128 gigs to be the default. That would be great, and there would be no downsides to that. But I genuinely think the reason the iPhone 12 and 12 mini had 64 gigs was not because it was cheaper to build. I think it was intentionally because they wanted to give the Pro iPhones better value, because they thought the 12 and 12 Pro had far too much in common and there weren't enough differences between the two. So I think that made them think, let's give 128 gig. Because if you know the parts suppliers, the price difference between a 64 gig SSD and a 128 gig SSD for smartphones is like a couple pennies. It's really, really small. It's not saving them much money by going with 64 instead of 128. They're very, very close in price point. So that makes me think that they also want to sell you on iCloud, because Apple services is what a lot of their future is, and they're trying to push more people towards monthly subscriptions, which is effective, I'll be honest, because it took me forever to get my iCloud storage under 200 gigs and downgrade to that plan, which is what I'm at now. Now I'm trying to get under 50, and it's really, really difficult. Even if I delete all my pictures and videos, it's just tricky to get my iCloud usage under 50 gigs. So the less local storage they give the iPhones, the better chance they have at charging you for monthly subscriptions on iCloud storage. So that would be the reasoning for keeping 64 gigs around. It's not Apple cheaping out for the sake of making pricing more affordable. So that's why I'm hesitant to say that all the iPhones will be 128 gig this year, but I'll agree it's time. It would be a good time to do it, Apple. Come on, 128 gigs, and it's 2021. If people are spending this much money on a phone, let's up the storage, okay? Come on. There's enough differences now. Now that 120 hertz is going to be a Pro feature, and we're probably going to get some camera enhancements for the Pro iPhones that the regular iPhones won't have, and will have bigger battery lives and stuff. I think that the Pros and the regulars are different enough from each other that it's okay if they all have the same storage. That's all I'll suggest. Thank you for the super chat, Joe, who says iPhone XS Pro Max SE Ultra 5G, but Apple. But why, though? Good question. Ahoda says, I hope they switch to USB-C or all MagSafe. I would like it, at least if they switch to USB-C. I think that's the crowd pleaser option. Marngel, thank you for becoming a supporter. Appreciate that. We've got how's the polls doing? Pokemon, go to the poll. Everyone go to the polls and vote. We've got 190 people who have voted, and 52% are buying the iPhone 13. That's hilarious. I thought it would be way lower than that. You guys are interested, aren't you? Ben Rayner says, I've always been on the 2-year contract plan, so I'm looking forward to the 22 iPhone. Okay, well, yeah, if the longer you wait, the better the deal will get. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with waiting. Drift Boy says 128 being the default will be great. Come on, Apple. Yeah, you know, the Android people are still going to complain, though. You can't avoid that. They're going to be like, it's about time this other cheap phone's 256 standard. But wasn't the freaking... What was it? That stupid phone. What was it? The Pixel 4a. Wasn't that thing 128 gig by default, and it was like $350? I was like, bruh, even that thing's 128 gig. Yeah, please don't spam in the chat. We got mods, and they're not afraid to... They're going to go all Clint Eastwood on any spammers in the chat. We've got 2 mod mics. Is it just a coincidence that all the mods' names start with M? Michael, Matt, and Michael. This is my brother Michael and my other brother Michael. Matt Manera says, age-old question, if micro SD cards are $12 for 128 gigs, why do they charge so freaking much for upgrades? Oh, that's a great question. It's definitely not because it costs more. I can tell you that. Rational Pragmatist, thank you for becoming a member. He was already a member before when we had it a couple of years ago, because he gets the activity rings. For those who don't know, the longer you're a YouTube member, the loyalty badge next to your name changes to flex on others how big of a fan you are. Do you guys notice my bicep? Sorry. I don't mean to flex. Literally, I don't mean to flex on you. But let's play around with the storage options here, because you'll notice how quickly the price jumps matter with storage options. So Apple wants you to subscribe to iCloud here. So we've got $800 for the 64 gig model, which is really $830 if you buy it unlocked. I hate that. I want them to get rid of that this year. I want it to be the same price whether you get it on contract or unlocked. But it jumps up $50 for 128 gig, and I can tell you confidently that if they can put, like Matt is saying, they can sell 128 gig micro SD cards. To be fair, the solid state drives that they use in iPhones are not micro SD cards. It's technically a different type of flash because it's stored on the actual silicon. It's a system on chip, so it's not identical to micro SD cards, but I get it. It's solid state. It's somewhat similar, but the component difference is very, very small. I bet it's a couple pennies, but the customer doesn't know that, and they're not going to be able to buy this for cheaper, so they just see $50 more. No, I guess I'll go with that because I'm an idiot, and it's okay for me to call them an idiot because I did the exact same thing. I bought the 128 gig iPhone 12 mini. This is my exact iPhone configuration, and I bought it unlocked. And I was like, $50 more for twice the storage. Okay, why not? So I opted for the 128 gig model, like a moron, and then it jumps up $100 to go to 256 gig. And once again, I bet the price difference between actually putting 256 gigs in here, it's maybe like an extra $10, and that's a stretch. It might even be less than that. I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it's not very much. The main thing is the profit margins. They want to be thicker. Basically, they're like, if you are willing to go all out on your iPhone and spend more money on it, we want the profit margins obviously to be thicker on that iPhone. So essentially, Apple makes far more money off you when you spend more money. Who knew, right? That's crazy. I'm kind of excited for the Pixel 6a whenever that comes out. Wyatt, there will be no Pixel excitement in this chat. This stream is exclusively about the iPhone 13. I will not tolerate any Pixel 6 praise. Just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm excited for the 6a too because I don't know what they could do differently. The 4a is just too good. I don't know what else they can do with it. But Martin Gel says Lightning makes way too much money for Apple, hence why they won't ditch it. I disagree. I don't think that's it. On Apple's earnings reports, that's like a rounding error. Renee Ritchie has talked about this too. I think when I had him on the Tech Podcast, I was like, do you think making money off of Lightning is why Apple wants to keep it? And he was like, okay, they make like $4 a Lightning accessory. And honestly, third-party Lightning accessories do not sell very well. There's not a bunch of people buying third-party Lightning connectors. Most people buying Lightning accessories are buying them from Apple anyway. And Apple's already making a ton of USB-C accessories. So I honestly, I genuinely don't think that's the reason. They probably make a couple $1 million a year by using Lightning. But a better argument is that Apple can sell you more chargers because if you have a MacBook and an iPad, especially an iPad Air or Pro and soon to be iPad Mini when that gets USB-C, now you have to buy a USB-C charger and a Lightning charger. I don't think it's the made for iPhone accessories that they're making a ton of money on. They probably make a couple $1 million is basically a drop in the bucket to Apple. That's nothing. I think the better argument is that you have to buy separate cables for everything, which I don't like because that adds to the complexity. And Apple even addressed this on stage with AirPower. They were like, wouldn't it be great if you could just take one charger everywhere you go? And AirPower obviously blew up in Apple's face and they couldn't do it. So instead, they made Magsafe Duo, which I really like, aside from the part that's Lightning, because I have literally not taken my iPad on trips simply because I would have to take my USB-C chargers with me. And Magsafe Duo uses Lightning, and I can charge my watch and my phone with one charger with that. It's expensive, and it doesn't come with a charge brick, so I'm comfortably paying the Apple tax here. But at the same time, I've literally been like, well, I could bring my iPad, but then I got to bring another charger, and sometimes I'm in a rush, so I'm like, let me just grab the Magsafe Duo charger, grab my iPhone. Okay, I'm good. So it's literally made me use my iPad less, and if I was using my iPad more, maybe I would consider subscribing to more Apple services, Tim Cook. So if you want more of my money, you would simplify the charging ecosystem, because the Apple Watch has got it. The Apple Watch has its own proprietary connector, and I got to bring that thing around. Magsafe Duo makes that slightly easier, and then I got Magsafe, and then if you use the Lightning pack, where's it? Oh, I returned it. It's gone already. If you use the Lightning pack, you have to use the Lightning cable, and then the iPad uses a different standard, and the MacBook uses a different standard. There's got to be a Godwin's law for this. So it's either Godwin's law. Yeah, I think it's called Godwin's law, which is the length of the internet discussion increases the likelihood of reference to Nazis. I don't know how I'm getting on this. We need a different law, Tailosive's law, which is that the longer Tailosive talks, the more likely he is to rant about lightning. if the stream goes on long enough, he's going to complain more and more about the lightning connector or the white bezels on the iMac. That's another one. Tailosive law. Sorry, I don't know. That's a huge tide tangent. I got it. Did I just say tide tangent? Am I having a stroke? What the heck just happened? I have never heard I'm sorry for spamming. Yeah, please don't spam that you're sorry for spamming. Demonic Cream, that's a fun name. Just super chatted. He said, I just upgraded to a 12 Pro Max in September, so I'll be skipping this year's model and waiting for that hole punch or no notch model Jay Prosser talks about. A no notch model? Is that coming next year? Skipping this year's, but yeah, you might be waiting for a while. I don't think the hole punch model is happening, to be honest with you. I think we got a ways before that. Michael says SD cards use much lower quality flash than Apple's SSDs. Yeah, that's true. I think it's NVMe flash versus standard SSD. I'm kind of okay. No Pixel 6 excitement. It will not be tolerated. Wyatt says he got the 256 gig 12 mini and it literally didn't change the resale value. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Well, that's good to know. Because I plan on selling my 12 mini. Not online. Don't send me any offers. I'm not going to sell it to you guys and just find it to someone in my personal life who wants it. My uncle was actually really interested when I showed it to him. He was like, what's that? And I let him hold it. And he was like, I really like this size. YouTube Kulansky says, I want two things from Apple. One, make 128 gig the base storage on all of their iDevices. And two, make the 16 gigs of RAM option upgrade price $100. Wait, on Macs? Or are you talking on no, definitely not iPhones. $100, yeah, it's the same thing with the profit margins. They know that they can get you to spend an extra $50 on your iPhone if you want the 128 gig. And if they made 128 gig by default, people wouldn't spend extra money because most people are probably like, I don't need 256. And that's pretty much the only direction you can go after 128. But disappointment. Apple is unfortunately a company that wants to make money. I know. It's so frustrating. Drift Boy says, I would still love to see Magsafe. Yeah, I want Magsafe on everything. Magsafe's great. Except maybe I don't know. I don't miss the old style Magsafe on MacBooks. A lot of people love that. And I was just like, USB-C's fine. Try to trip on that cable. It'll pop right out. That's what people kept saying. Magsafe's good because if you trip on the charger, it pulls the laptop. It won't pull the whole laptop with... How many people are charging their laptop and stretching their power cord over a walk area? My annoyance, because my wife still has a MacBook with MagSafe on it, is that it, especially when you're using it in bed, it pops off all the time when you don't want it to. And USB-C doesn't do that. And I've done this test. This is very dangerous. But back when I had a MacBook Pro, I would plug it in via USB-C and then intentionally trip on the cable. USB-C is like the perfect middle ground because it doesn't lock into the laptop hard enough to pull the whole thing. Maybe if you do it slowly, if you pull on the USB-C cable gently, it'll pull the whole thing. But it's the same thing. Here, I'll do it with the iPad right now. Can I show this? Okay, it's out of focus, but look, if I pull hard, it'll drag it across the desk, but if you just yank it, it disconnects fine. It's not that big a deal. It's the same thing with MacBooks are heavier than my iPad is. So if you trip on the USB-C cable while it's plugged in, I know that the next generation MacBook's probably switching back to MagSafe, but I just don't understand why or how. Which MagSafe are they using? I don't know. Anyway, let's all go back to 30 pins, says Yoris. What? Yoris? What are you talking about? Some men just want to watch the world burn. Ray Day Super Chat. It says, I had an idea while waiting at a bus stop. An iPod Shuffle that uses only Apple Music. What? It would only be off for offline listening and could only use Wi-Fi. You're blowing my mind right now. Ray, okay, so you're saying you understand the iPod Shuffle doesn't have a display. So you would have to essentially set it up with either your Mac or your iPhone and tell the iPhone to download music to another device. Why not just download the music directly to the iPhone? It's an interesting concept, an iPod Shuffle that way. I don't know, maybe when you're jogging and stuff. It's just too close to the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is getting so cheap now. Apple would rather you just spend $200 on a Series 3. I guess the Shuffle was much cheaper than that, wasn't it? Last time they sold the Shuffle, I think it was $50. But if you have to set it up through an iPhone, that means you already have an iPhone. So I don't know. Maybe if you're running and working out and stuff, you don't want to take a whole iPhone with you. Interesting, but I'll just go ahead and say I totally get why they haven't done that. I'll throw that out there. I get why they don't. Super chat from Ben Close, thank you very much, says I can afford to super chat with my savings from not buying a new iPhone since 2016. Still rocking an iPhone 7. Hopefully will last another year. I replaced the battery early 2020. Oh, that's good. Well, appreciate the donation. Wow, is that New Zealand? We got people watching in New Zealand? Holy crap. Ben, shouldn't you be in bed? It's kind of early in the morning for Tailosive tech. Even I can understand. Drew, be our voice. Maybe they'll listen. I'll be my voice best I can. Lightning needs to die. We need to kill off lightning. I would have kept the Magsafe pack if it was USB-C, Apple. You could have made money off me, but you didn't. Suck it. But thank you for the super chat. I think the iPhone 7 should be getting probably even iOS 16. I think Apple's pushing the boundaries of how many years the iPhones can get software support, because the iPhone 6S came out in 2015, and we know that's going to be getting iOS 15 in long into 2022 even, which means the iPhone 6S got 7 years of software updates. Who knows? Maybe with the A9 chip and the A10 chip, Apple just thinks they can keep this going. And it might be in their best interest to keep services available and supported and that type of thing. So they're like, let's just sell as much crap on these iPhones as we possibly can. So if the iPhone 6S is getting 7 years of support, I don't know why the 7 couldn't. A10 chip was really fast, so maybe they'll keep that. Maybe they'll keep that train going. Keep holding on to your 7, Ben. That's good for you. I'm excited. RAM is also quite expensive, especially the stuff Apple uses. Yeah, I think RAM is a different story than SSDs, but I'm sure it doesn't actually cost them that much to add more RAM. It is most likely a situation where they want the profit margins to be higher. And if you spend more money, then the margins are thicker, and they're happy about that. Scoop says, Apple better give us 1 terabyte iPhone. The truck channel dude is asking for this ages. It's an inside meme for this community. I want it to be an outside meme. I want everybody to be aware. I will not sleep until Big Truck Series Big Truck Series Review Motorsports gets his 1 terabyte iPhone. I want it to happen this year. I really, really do. I'm rooting for him just because you ladies out there, the 0.1% of you that watch these videos, you need to find yourselves a man as loyal as Big Truck Series Motor Review. Oh my God, you need a shorter name, dude. What's your name? I know that's not your legal name. You got to fill me in. Seriously, though, that guy has been so loyal. Every video, every single time he posts a comment, I need 1 terabyte, I need 1 terabyte, I need 1 terabyte. And I'm just compiling all the comments until the day finally comes. We're going to have a party. We're going to throw a celebration. It's going to be like the end of the Phantom Menace when all the guns are dancing in the street. Peace! He's going to have the big ball that lights up and stuff. The 1 terabyte iPhone has finally happened. Loner Boy Beats, thank you for becoming a supporter. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Everyone's overly generous today. Wyatt Hall says, become a YouTube member for only... He's literally super chatting an ad. Yeah, also, by the way, the more members we get, the more custom emojis we can have. Did you guys show off the new emojis? I got one that I was really excited to use. I'll use it in the chat because we can literally use Craig now. We have Craig. We can use the Craig emotes, ladies and gentlemen. Craig is here. It's finally arrived. Don't flex those emotes. What are your thoughts on the Apple Watch Series 7 rumored design? I think that it looks so boxy that it would hurt to have it on for hours at a time. I don't think it would hurt because there's a rounded puck on the bottom of the watch. So the chassis, you don't hold the Apple Watch, you wear it, right? You're not doing this unless you're some kind of monster weirdo or something. But it's not a pocket watch, okay? You wear it, and the rounded puck that charges it on the bottom, it sits on the top of your skin. Look at this tan. Oh my God. This is the millennial tan, as some people are calling it, because that's where all the smartwatches go. But if the rounded puck is sitting on your flesh, then the aluminum chassis is not actually rubbing up against your arm. Even if you're holding your wrist back, you shouldn't be. You're wearing your Apple. You're wearing it wrong. Yeah, I'll say it. People are always like, it's a meme to say you're holding it wrong. I'm like, what? Why is that a big deal? You can hold things wrong. It's not that big a stretch. If someone was holding a hammer by the metal part, you'd be like, you're holding it wrong. That's what Apple said. Yes, you can hold things incorrectly. Big whoop. The Craig emote is beautiful. I want more terabytes on iCloud. Yeah, that's something I don't really understand. I mean, technically, there are ways. I mean, if we go to Apple One, you can get 2 terabytes of extra storage if you have Apple One Premier on top of your iCloud storage. So it's very expensive, but yeah, why is Apple against... I'm not saying... I know it's unreasonable to assume that Apple would give us more than 5 gigabytes of iCloud storage because, let's be honest, they want that free iCloud storage to be as low as humanly possible so that they can give us that pop-up constantly that says... upgrade your storage plan. Upgrade your storage plan. Uh-oh, you ran out of storage. Better order some more. I'm not suggesting that because I get it. Apple's pushing their services and all that. So fine, Apple, you got to keep your iCloud perks going. But why do we have to stop at 2 terabytes? Because I know a lot of people that are filling that up. My good friend Nick Ann Sweeney out in Starbase texted me in an emergency for some reason. I don't know what it was. He had an iCloud emergency, which I guess is a thing, where all of the sudden he ran out of iCloud storage and he could not afford to delete anything at the moment. So he was like, quick, how do I get Apple One? And I was like, go to settings, go to subscription, and it should be in there. So he needed more iCloud storage to get Apple One. I'm like, why is Apple so against having more options? Like right now it maxes out at $10 a month. Apple, you know your customers. You know you can milk them much better than that. You could be offering a freaking 4 terabyte plan for $30 or less than Apple One Premier for the people who don't care about that type of thing. Yeah, like maybe $15 a month for 3 terabytes or something like that. You know, I'm helping you, Apple. I'm giving you ideas to profit more off of your customers. I'm not saying some people out there. Some morons out there are just going to say, Apple, you should just give everyone 50 gigs of free storage. It's like, why would they do that? It would cost them more server space, which costs Apple directly more money, and people could probably keep their iCloud libraries under 50 gigs, so they would objectively lose money by doing that. There's literally no advantage to them doing that other than the goodness of their hearts. But the goodness of their hearts, that's not going to happen. Loner Boy Beat says, I wish the Files app was better. Me too. I think we all do. Abdullah, thank you for the super chat. I don't even know what currency that is, but I appreciate. You are holding your iPhone 4 wrong, Drew. I'm not holding it, but okay. I believe you. There's a wrong way to hold anything. Just about, if you hold your iPhone display outward when you take a phone call, you're holding it wrong. Why is this such a meme? Yeah, we also have tons more emojis in the Discord server, that's for sure. Oh my goodness. So much spam. I think they did a good job with the 12, so I most likely am not going to upgrade. Yeah, if I was not a content creator, and if I didn't notice the difference between 60 hertz and 120 hertz, I would definitely not be upgrading. But that's the problem I really do notice. Let me try to make sure I catch up on everything here. Abdullah didn't say anything. I just got the super chat. I'm looking for a message from him, but he didn't. So thank you. Lambert says, I personally don't like the Apple Watch. It's great, but I don't think it's a good idea for those who don't do much exercise. That's all I've seen it as. I don't do much exercise, as you can tell, but I do think it's great for notification management, and it really helps bring the entire Apple ecosystem together. Like, for one, being able to unlock the phone when you have a mask on if you're wearing an Apple Watch is great, and when you install certain software, you can double tap the side button on the Apple Watch, and it unlocks. It bypasses not having to do the password. Plus, if I just walk up to my iMac and wake it up, I don't have to enter my password. It just instantly unlocks because it registers that my watch is on. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I really love it for non-health reasons, although I should work out more. I should try probably more actively to close my activity rings and that type of thing. But, it's to your advantage if you don't like it. There's really no advantage to you liking it because, frankly, if you're like, I don't think it's worth it, I don't want to buy. Okay, you just save yourself $400. And honestly, once you really get comfortable with the Apple Watch and you start using it regularly, now you can't live without it. If I take my Apple Watch off, I feel naked. It feels weird to not have one. And if that ends up being the case, then every so years the battery health degrades and I have to buy a new watch. And Apple's got a lifelong customer with me. That kind of sucks, right? That's my disadvantage now. I've chosen a preference. I've chosen a product that will intentionally charge my bank account at least every 4 to 5 years, which means now they've got my money. They've got future Drew money. They've got me in 2050 money. I'll probably still be buying Apple Watches in 2060 when I'm old, but just because I'm used to it and I'm comfortable with it now. So if you're the type of person that's like, nah, not for me, you've just saved yourself thousands of dollars in the long run. So there's no disrespect there. But Apple Watch is totally awesome, though, man. You should get one. Oh, my God. I got a lot to catch up on here. Darren, thank you for the super chat. Do you think the S7 will keep the same band connector? Oh, yeah, it's got to. Oh, man, I'm going to be so upset if they change the connector. That's actually why I've been getting rid of a lot of watch bands, is because I'm afraid. It's only a matter of time, right? Do you think Apple, like 10, 20 years from now, will still have the same connector as they do now? You just know one of these days they got to get rid of it, right? They're eventually going to ditch it. Oh, and I'm going to be very sad that day. And I feel very sad for the people that are collecting watch bands. I see you, Skylar, in the Discord, freaking out every time. Where's the spring collection watch bands? I'm going to buy $300 worth of connector. They're all going to become pointless. Someday they're going to update the Apple Watch, and it's going to be like, oh, those old connectors don't work with the new Apple Watch. And then you'll just be like, and you can't even sell them because the resale value is going to tank right after that. People are only going to pay like $5 a piece for them, and you have spent 10 times that on them. So after I realized that it's only a matter of time before they got rid of the connectors, I've been just getting rid of them, selling them, and just I've tried to have I've been using this watch band forever. But one thing you can count on is that Apple will keep including watch bands with every Apple Watch you buy. So whenever you buy a new Apple Watch, you're going to get a new watch band. That will, of course, be compatible with it. So, yeah, there's a chance that they could change it, or there's a chance that they may say they do the Magic Keyboard thing. They even did this with the SE and the Series 4 and 5 and stuff. They were like, the watch band loop is optimized for the newer watch bands. You can't use it on the older Apple Watches. And the truth is you can. You can use the loop bands with the Series 3 and older, but they just don't sit as flush. It's not as seamless as a connection. So it's kind of compatible, but kind of not. But good question, Darren. That's something I'm really, really worried about. Honestly, if they change the connectors on us, I'm going to be ticked off. Do you think Apple should implement RCS messaging? I know absolutely nothing about that, but I've heard no downsides to it, so yes. I heard that SMS is less secure, and that's what iMessage uses when you don't have an iPhone. But my imaginary Apple response to that is Apple's just going to say, well, if you care about privacy, you'll use an iPhone. Yeah, but what if someone's texting someone that doesn't have an iPhone? It still uses SMS, Apple. Well, that's because they're using an Android. If you're using an Android, you clearly don't care about privacy, do you? So if you do care about privacy, you'll buy an iPhone. I don't know. I haven't seen their public response on that, but that's my running theory on why they don't implement it, is because they don't care. Cole Crawford, thank you for the super chat. That was nice of you. No message, but is there one down here? Oh, yeah. Hey, Drew, been a minute. Can we expect midnight blue and matte green on iPhone 13? Ooh, they keep changing the colors year after year. 11 Pro was midnight green, and then this year was Pacific blue, so maybe this year it's neither. There was some rumors about an orange bronze model or something. That's the one I used in this thumbnail. Also made by Apple iDesigner on Twitter. He's my favorite concept artist. I would heavily recommend you check him out if you like those concept artwork. He does amazing stuff. His real name is Michael, ironically. We didn't have enough Michaels in this live stream. We've got Model Y Mike. We've got Michael Mod from the YouTube streams. And then we've got Michael, Apple iDesigner, who does the concepts. But yeah, I think that I don't think you should go into it expecting midnight green, because every year they like to have an exclusive color. With the 11 Pro, it was green. With the 12 Pro, it was Pacific blue. This one might be something else. There's a chance of them reusing the color, but in the past few years they haven't. So I'm guessing there's just going to be at least one color that's unique and exclusive to this year. That just seems to be how they work. But I'm honestly fine with neither. I didn't care much for Pacific Blue or Midnight Green. I was happy for Randy because Randy likes Midnight Green, so he got it, and I was like, cool. That's the color that suits him best. But I still just want a very vibrant product red, and they haven't done that. I think it's hard to do with stainless steel, actually, and they can't find an easy way to do that. But I want them to. I want either jet black or product red, and if not, then I don't know, maybe silver, something like that. But Ray Day, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate that. You got the little Touch ID badge now. Wyatt super chatted again. Okay, I'm worried about your rent here, Wyatt, but he says, will Apple Watch get M1X in 120 hertz and have the ability to cure cancer? If not, I'm not buying it. This is Apple, so they're running out of features to give the Apple Watch. I'm not saying it will have the ability to cure cancer, but will they put in some health sensor that claims there's a way to detect cancer? I wouldn't be shocked. I don't. It could be a huge stretch. They're gonna do some heart rate measuring and some glucose check and then checking through the ECG, and they're gonna be like, through all of this data and your blood oxygen levels, we have detected that there is a 1% chance that you might possibly have the ability to one day develop cancer. So yes, Apple Watch technically prevents cancer now. They do some giant stretch like that. M1X, no. Highly doubt that. 120 hertz, my God, I hope so, but probably not. Do you guys plan to do another live podcast episode? I think we want to save those to be special. So if we do one, it'll probably be the next time we all meet up, but I don't know when that's going to be. So yeah, I'm not saying never, but there's no current plans on it. Someday we will. Oh my God, I got to keep up. Divot says, finally able to buy channel membership. Yes! I'm glad he's using the Apple Sheep Overdrive emoji. Thank you. Ray Day says, my Series 5 works fine. The battery was worrying for a minute, but it seems to be better now. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, just turn off the always on display. I've done that recently, and I wore my Apple Watch all day yesterday, and at the end of the day, it was at like 76% battery. I was like, this battery life's actually pretty good if you turn off the always on display. Kind of smart. Little pro tip. Drift Boy says, I also want to see AirPower. When will you let it die? Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Ryan Johnson. Oh my God. I don't know how many times I have to explain that AirPower was just a stupid idea. It sounded cool on paper, but in execution it would have been. Here's the thing. You guys didn't know how much AirPower was going to cost. And the inside sources were claiming that with these types of charging coils and other AirPower-like charge mats we've seen out there, it probably would have been over $300. Easily. I'm not saying maybe. I'm saying it. With the number of coils they had to stuff in those things, and I know there have been other chargers out there that try to make it so you can charge your device everywhere, and they only charge 2 devices, not 3. Those things cost north of $200, and they're really thick. So if Apple had to make a thin charge mat, add in the Apple tax, just like MagSafe Duo, which everyone was like, no, it won't be over $100, and then it was $130. Add in the Apple tax, that thing would have easily capped over $300. It would not have worked well for the Apple Watch nightstand mode. You wouldn't be able to flip up the charger or anything. And also, it wouldn't work well for the loop bands. Apple Watch bands that just have a loop around the back, you would have had to unhook the latch to take the watch off or completely fold it inside out and have the watch band sitting on top of the watch instead of the bottom to get it to charge. And it probably would have overheated. And also, MagSafe is just so cool. MagSafe is so much better. AirPower would not have fit in my back pocket. MagSafe Duo does. I can just fold that up and slide it in the back. And also, it's not that different from a regular wireless charger. There's still a fairly small mat that you have to drop your phone on. Whether or not you have to drop it on a little magnetic puck. This fixes the AirPower problem. AirPower was trying to solve the problem of you have to align your phone on the Qi charger properly to get it to charge. This solves that for far cheaper, and it probably would charge much faster than AirPower could have. So tell me, what exactly about AirPower is so appealing? I'm giving up on this. Ray Day says, my Series 5 works fine. Okay, we read that one. I'll got to catch up here. Paul Romero, thank you for the super chat. Oh, my God, there's so many super chats. AJ, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate that. Okay, Paul asks, have you ever asked yourself how fast you are going to no longer remember the difference between 60 and 120 hertz on the iPhone 13? Because that's the main issue. I am not going to buy it. I have asked myself that, and the reason is I can tell the difference between every time I use my iPad versus every time I use my iPhone. It's ruined displays for me to experience 120 hertz. And I understand that not everybody notices it. I've tried it. I've showed it to my wife, my family members, and some people just do not care. Some people, though, do see it. And for me, it's one of those things that made all displays look so much better. And every time I use my iPad, I'm like, ooh, this is so smooth. This is so nice. And then I go back to my iPhone. I'm like, oh, you're not 120. And I just get disappointed and depressed all over again. So also, every time I've picked up an Android phone with 120 hertz, I notice it right away. And I'm like, oh, why can't we just have this on everything? And I would really, really want it on Macs even, but they're probably not going to do that for a long time. So I understand that most people want, but yes, I have asked myself how fast I was going to no longer remember. It's the same thing with True Tone. It's like you don't notice it necessarily when you have it all the time, but once you go back to not having it, it becomes objectively noticeable. And I have 120 hertz on one of my devices and not the other, so it really throws me off. Love the dark red. They need to use more iPad, and it would look sick on the iMac with black bezels. Ben Rayner, are you talking about like the red on the iMac? In which case, yes, I love that dark, very obvious red. I don't like the 12 red. I've seen the red iPhone 12 mini and stuff, and it's so pinkish. It's so salmony. It's like product pink. I'm not about the pink. I'm a saturated guy. I need deep, deep red. I understand most people don't notice the difference after a while, but it's the same thing. It all blends into the background, but that's any tech product. I mean, you can use that as a decent argument to not buy anything in the future. Wow, we've had 707 people vote on this poll, and we were at 54% yes. People are planning on upgrading. I thought it would be a lot lower than that, honestly. Okay, I'll catch up. AJ, thanks for becoming a member. Ben Close, thank you for the super chat. Apple Lit 8 can't super chat in their region, so here's their message. Do you think Apple will make the 13 square edges but a bit curved like the iPad Pro? Ooh. A bit curved. Are they curved? I think the only reason the iPad chassis looks slightly curved on the back is just because it's aluminum, whereas it's glass back on the iPhone, so it's a bit more sharp looking, but I think it's still just as rounded. The short answer is no. Sorry you don't have Super Chat in your region. I hope they bring it to you soon, but I genuinely think that the overall design of this year's iPhone will look fairly similar in the chassis. It's still going to be squared off. I don't think they're going to make it more rounded. Although I wish they would. One thing I actually liked about the MagSafe pack is that the rounded back made it feel more comfortable in my hand. So I like the flat edges on the front. It looks better when the bezel just is a sharp corner. But I think it would be more comfortable if it was rounded on the back. So that's my dream scenario. Rounded back, flat front. I wouldn't upgrade just for that reason alone, but that's something I could see them doing in the future. AirPower will never die. It's annoying, but it has to become a meme now. Oh, I see. Ray Day's keeping the meme alive here. I get you. I got it. Jack Sobel says, what do you think of DuckDuckGo? Would you try it? I have tried it. I think it was one of like my first tech videos way back in like 2014 or 2015. I talked about DuckDuckGo, and the truth is the main thing I use Google for, I don't Google many things, to be frank with you. I use the Google Assistant on our smart speakers in the kitchen, and honestly, they're very dumb. There's a bunch of things that I don't get the whole rivalry. Google Assistant's the best. Siri's stupid. I'm like, they're all pretty stupid. My wife asks the Google speaker questions all the time, and it gets it wrong or doesn't understand her or can't hear her. We have the sensitivity turned way up. So I'm just like, they're all pretty stupid when you think about it. But anyway, I don't like randomly Google things. I'm not like, how much fat's in an avocado and how much does a freight ship weigh? And I don't just random. The only time I'm really Googling things is when I'm editing videos and I'm looking for pictures to use as cutaway shots. It's like B-roll. I just grab pictures online and stuff. And the search results I got from DuckDuckGo when I tried it out were just objectively worse. I could Google very hyper-specific things. I can't speak. And Google would know exactly what pictures I was looking for. And when I tried to do it with DuckDuckGo, the algorithm is just not as good. But I'm all in favor of DuckDuckGo because I think that Google has, an insane monopoly on the search engine market, and hardly anything is competing with it. So I'm glad that DuckDuckGo exists. I'm glad that there's a search engine that doesn't track you as much, and I'm glad that there's an option for people out there. And I know a lot of people that use DuckDuckGo and they're very happy with it and it works for them. So I would not shame anyone if it works for you and you want to keep using it. Totally understandable. It's great to have a privacy option. I've just acknowledged, because I work for YouTube and my livelihood and my personality is out on the internet, I've just kind of given up on the digital privacy thing. Google knows where I live. They know my social security because I get paid by them. They know my bank information because they pay me for my job. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just not convinced that if I use the right search engines or if I do the right things, Google will not know very much about me. I pay for premium, so I'm not getting ads with YouTube anyway. So I've just kind of accepted that there is not that much privacy from Google in my life. I've just kind of lived with that. But other people don't have to. Not all of you guys are content creators. Not all of you are getting paid by YouTube. So if you're not within their inner circle and you're not giving them data they don't want, but you're all using a Google service right now. Like, they are collecting data on all of you just by you watching this live stream. They're figuring out, oh, you like this certain content creator, so if he uploads a video about this subject, then we're going to recommend it to you. So it's just kind of impossible to avoid. But yeah, I've tried DuckDuckGo and it just did not give me the results I was looking for, whereas Google seems to be very, very good at doing that, primarily with pictures. That's what I use search engines for mostly. Martin Gel says, how often do you charge your Apple Watch? I charge my Series 6 once every 2 days with the always on display on. Yeah, I can get to 2 days. Sometimes normally I charge it every night, but there's times where if I need to get up really early, I like the alarm feature. Here's another non-fitness related feature that I like about the Apple Watch is that you can have an alarm go off that doesn't wake up the person sleeping next to you, my darling better half, Louise. And I don't want to wake her up, but sometimes I need to get up really early to go on a mountain bike ride with Ross or something. And I want to have an alarm go off. And it's also just a better way to wake up. To me, it's so much more relaxing and peaceful to wake up to just a Taptic engine. It's just like a little kid, just like, wake up, it's time. They're just like tapping you. Whereas all the alarm sounds on iOS suck. It's one of the things I think Android gets a lot better. It's just like when you wake up, it's ding, 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 and then iOS is like, it's like every single option they have in the alarm app is like, it's like intentionally annoying. I get that there's probably some social thing. I think Apple Explained did a video. It's supposed to be annoying to make you wake up and turn off the other. I don't care. I don't like it. So I'd much rather just turn on theater mode. So sometimes I won't charge my watch overnight and it still will last me. I think I've gone 3 days without charging it. Maybe 4 once. I can't remember, but it probably died midday. But if you turn off the always on display, yeah, you can definitely last a lot longer. So that's about as often as I charge it. Let's see. I upgrade the iPhone every year. Okay, AJ is a AJ's a sheep. Is Apple's fight for privacy a lost cause to you? I don't want to say yes, but it's kind of pointless. I mean, it's not a lost cause, to be fair. I think it's an honorable cause to fight for. I'm glad Apple's fighting for it. It's a good thing for Apple to go after. I'm glad that they have an emphasis on privacy because someone should in the tech world, and it feels like Google and Amazon just don't care about it as much as Apple does. So I'm glad there's someone fighting for privacy, but when you go on your iPhone and use a bunch of third-party services that track you anyway, it's a losing battle. I think that every generation of tech is going to care less and less. Not tech, every generation of people. So the older generations are going to have more of an emphasis on privacy, and older people are going to be like, I don't want to put, a microphone with internet access plugged in to power at all times in my house. The government could be listening. And then our younger generations are like, who cares? They may listen to me, but I don't really mind it. And then you just put up with it. So now we have microphones with internet access all around us all the time. and we're using services that are tracking data on us all the time. And the truth is, the average consumer has proven that we are willing to give up privacy for the sake of convenience time and time again. So if it results in the service being cheaper or better, and if there's a way for us to get better search engines or better digital assistants, or we can use websites that are cheaper but they use our data and they track us or whatever, we'll do it. We're like, we'll take the convenience and we'll take the lower price. You want to do some data mining on me? Do you want to track my usage? I don't care. I got nothing to hide. I'm not a criminal. What did I say? Criminal. I can't speak anymore. Oh my God, I'm running out of brain power. So over time, you know, right now there's a certain amount of privacy we want, but I could imagine our grandkids caring less and less and less because they just grow up in a completely different world. So over time, I think that the digital privacy thing's probably just going to fall away and it won't really matter in the long run. I mean, in the short term, I'm glad Apple's fighting for it. It's a good thing. I'm not against privacy. I don't see a future where we're able to keep digital privacy around because customers and users in general are just going to choose to have things cheaper over private. I don't think people are going to pay extra for things to be extra private. That's why Google search is more popular than DuckDuckGo. And it's probably going to stay that way forever, unfortunately. It'd be cool if it wasn't, but yeah. There's some weird things. It says message deleted by the Google moderator team. What did you say, David? I've never seen that before. Do we have someone from the Google moderator team watching? Hi. How's it going? What about 13 versus iPad mini? I would be really, really tempted to turn the iPad mini 6 into an iPhone replacement, to be honest. I think that would be a fun challenge. The only hiccup with that is you can't connect your Apple Watch to the iPad, and probably the camera. I'm guessing the iPad mini 6 camera won't be very good. But to be fair, some people probably don't care. And also I use Mint Mobile, which doesn't support iPad cellular, which is a shame. Hey, Ryan Reynolds should get on that. I want to have cellular options for Apple Watches and iPads on Mint Mobile. That's my next suggestion. People care more about convenience than privacy, sadly. It's true. I mean, it's great to have options. I'm glad. I want more companies to have private option for people to take advantage of. I just don't think it's going to stick around in the next 100 years or so. I heard Apple is considering scanning photos for illegal things. I think it's too dangerous and could return false positives and backfire. Yeah, that's a difficult one. I was reading about it this morning. It sounds like one step forward, 5 steps back, because on one hand it would be able to catch illegal activity better, but at the same time it does come at the great cost of privacy. So I'm guessing Apple probably just won't do it. Google is coming to replace us. First Google takes out all the Michaels, then the rest of the moderation staff. Yeah. Google is literally watching us right now. I wish I could update the Apple Watch without a charger. You know what I do, Drift Boy? Don't do this, kids. This is what dangerous Tailosive Tech Apple Sheep does. Something you probably shouldn't do. The Apple Watch needs to have a charger connected to it to update, so I will put it on the charger. One time I wanted to update the watch, but I was in a hurry and I had to get going. So I put it on the charger, and the Apple Watch registered that. It was like, okay, I'm connected to power. I've downloaded the update. Now I can start installing it. So it begins the installation process, but then I take the watch off. The watch doesn't know how to stop. The only reason they do that is because you could technically brick the watch if it ran out of power while installing the update. But I have a very fancy modern Apple Watch Series 6 with the S6 chip, so it does not take that much time to install an update. Like, even I think on the Series 4 or Series 5, it does not take 50% of the Apple Watch's capacity to install a whole update. They're just doing that to be overly cautious. So I live kind of on the edge and decided keep it on the watch until it starts the installation boot up screen, and then I take it off. I put it back on, and I'm like, it thinks it's charging. So I've done that many times, and it's never caused an issue. I've never had a problem with that. So I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing that until one day, if it actually ends up bricking my watch and there's a problem, I imagine you could probably take it to an Apple store and they'd probably set you up with a new one or do something. I don't think they would just be like, sorry, you moron, you broke it. So I don't know what would happen. I guess I spammed. Google's always watching. I just posted same question from iPhone and it got deleted in 10 seconds. So now I'm posting from my laptop. That's weird. Some kind of auto flagging thing. Can you pair two watches to a single phone? You can, actually. Apple thought of that. They were like, we should actively encourage people to be able to buy more Apple Watches if they want to. It's like a fashion piece. I'm feeling an aluminum Apple Watch today. You know what? I think I'll wear my gold watch today. To just mix them up here and there. I don't know. If you still had your iPhone 11 Pro Max, knowing what you know now, having the Mini, if you had to pick one phone to use for more than a year, would you use the Mini over the 11 Pro Max? I'd be happy with both, but I think I would choose the Mini. My dad still uses the 11 Pro Max, so I check it out here and there, and it's nice. I like it. It's still good. The battery life is much better, but I could live with the 12 Mini battery life for more than a year. I'll still stand by this comment. This is what we're going to wrap up the live stream with. I got to get going soon, but if this year's iPhone does not have 120 hertz, I won't upgrade. I'll stick with the 12 Mini another year. I'm not budging on that one. I'm going to keep it around. So I'm confident that we probably are getting 120 hertz this year, but on the off chance that we don't, it's not a guarantee. We don't know that for sure, but on the off chance that we don't, yes, I will opt for 12 Mini for another year. I don't plan on getting 13 Mini if there's no 120 hertz. I don't plan on getting a larger 13. I need 120 hertz. That's my go-to. Anyway, we got to wrap up here, but I got one more super chat from Nerman Okonovic. I hope I got that right. Hate OLEDs, hope to get mini/micro LED on iPhones. Already got visible burn-in by the notch. Really? I haven't heard of that many people getting burn-in. That's interesting. Do you keep your display on for extended periods of time? Because my mom has the iPhone 10 that I bought from 2017, and she doesn't have any burn-in on her display. I wonder what's different. That's too bad. I don't think we're going to get mini LED, though. I think that's going to be restricted to iPads and MacBooks. I'm sorry. I hope they do. I hope they make something for you that's better. But micro LED has been in the conceptual stages for years now, and it's still not ready. So I don't know when it's going to be done, but I do hope it happens eventually. Why did they sell the gold Apple Watch anyway? Honestly, it was a genius move because the amount of gold it took to make the Apple Watch was worth like $2,000, and then they sold them for $10,000. So I saw some study that said even though the gold Apple Watches were super expensive and they only accounted for like 1% of all Apple Watches sold, I think they may have been less than that. In the first year they came out, it was a very, very small percentage of market share. They accounted for like 25% of the profit. So small market share, but giant profit margins on every gold Apple Watch they sold was like 80% profit margin. It was super duper high because the machining and material of getting the gold into that shape of the Apple Watch chassis was not very hard to do. The materials were pretty expensive, and now you notice you can't find those anywhere. It's the only Apple Watch to not depreciate. Stainless steel and aluminum Apple Watches that we've had for years, all of these things devalue within 12 months. They're worth like half what you paid for them. But the solid gold Apple Watch editions, those things are selling for much more than they were worth. You can't get one for retail price anymore, even though they don't get updates anymore. I know that. I know that the gold Apple Watches don't get the new generation of watchOS, but they're still collector's items now. Like you can't get them for under 10 grand. They're all far more than that, and they're very hard to find. I know because my buddy Nick has been trying to find one. he can't locate one. They're very hard to find. So they've held their value much better than any other Apple Watch, and they accounted for a ton of profit. So there's honestly not a great reason to not sell them. I'm kind of confused why they stopped selling them. Maybe it was just too much work to keep the gold around, and they figured we don't want the Apple Watch to be looked at as that luxury. But all I'm saying is I would not be shocked if they brought it back, because financially it makes a lot of sense, actually. It sounds stupid, but I get it. Okay, Marngel, last question. If you had to get rid of one Apple product in your ecosystem, what would it be? Ooh. Can I say Apple TV? I don't really have one right now, but that is technically in the ecosystem, and it's not very impressive. If I can't say Apple TV, then maybe iPad. I don't know. iPad OS. I love the iPad hardware, but iPad OS is just becoming more and more disappointing. I'm thinking I should just fall in love with the Mac and just keep using a MacBook. Pretend the iPad doesn't exist, since it's just going to keep disappointing me. Yeah, we can put polls in the chat. So the final results of the poll, 870 people voted. Wow. And we got 54% upgrading to the iPhone 13. That's cool. So I appreciate all of the super chats today. All of you new members, thank you for all your support. You guys are being overly generous. It's very unnecessary. But yes, I'm working on a tech video for today. It's kind of a recap of what we are coming to expect in the next couple months. But keep in mind, if I saw some people saying, "Drew, why are you talking about this? This is all information we already know." Suggest something then. Okay, I'm not going to try to deny it. We're in a tech news drought. There's not a lot of news to talk about right now. And saying, "I already know this," isn't helping me. So if there's a subject you want covered or something you want talked about, I hear you. You know, tag me on Twitter, comment in the video, say, "I want to hear your opinion on this." And I will do my best to talk about those subjects. So I appreciate all the support, and hope you all have an excellent rest of your day. Stay tuned for more videos.